Bruce, we're going to look at bottles and bottle shapes.
Okay,
All
bottle
right.
shapes. Let's
Right.
go.
All right, so we're going to start off with bubbly wine bottles.
Okay.
And on this side here, we have...
This is heavy.
Yes, this honey
Yeah.
is heavy because it's very thick. And over here we have our bubbly dry Riesling
A
bottle,
little
which
bit
is
lighter.
not.
And the reason for that is because the traditional method champagne bottle has a lot more pressure in it
Right.
than the lighter carbonation of the Boundary Breaks bubbly dry Riesling.
Right.
And the more pressure means thicker glass.
Right. And a lot of little teeny tiny bubbles too.
Yes.
Right.
More
So
expensive too,
Heavy.
across the board.
So that's that type of bottle. Now the second type of bottle we're going to look at is called a flute, and that's what we use in the for Riesling.
Isn't that elegant?
Yes. And so we have it very tapered. Now there are really two reasons to pick a bottle shape. One is there's the technical reason, which would be what the Method Champagne bottle was, and then there's sort of a traditional reason. This is sort of a combination of both, from what I understand.
Both traditional
And technical.
And technical.
Right. So apparently these, in the
Old days.
they shipped these by water, so they didn't have to be quite as sturdy as some of the other bottles, so they could make them in this more elegant shape.
But we see these hock or fluted bottles in both green and brown.
Right.
And
Right.
what's the difference?
Well, brown is more French or Alsace, and green...
More
we
likely
get
in Germany. So
in
when because we are neither in Germany nor in France, we had a
No.
choice between brown and green,
Right.
really, if we wanted to be consistent with the tradition of Riesling bottles. We chose brown because we think brown is a little more understated, and
liked it.
sometimes the greens can be a little bit too green for our
Right.
taste. So brown is what it is in our case. It's called antique green in
Yeah.
the official terminology.
And it's, sometimes you see Riesling in a blue bottle, and those are usually sweeter ones.
Aha.
Our rosé is in a clear bottle because...
Because you want to see the color of the
Right.
rosé, definitely. And the color and the shape of the rosé bottle, it doesn't quite have the same tradition that the Riesling bottle has.
Right.
We have a lot of Riesling bottles. We like the Riesling flute, the hock bottle, so we just do our rosé in that bottle as well.
Right. Okay, next up we have
We have two red wine bottles.
two red wine bottles,
Yes.
right? Here we go.
We've got a Burgundy bottle, and then we have a Bordeaux bottle.
Right. So the Burgundy bottle is much slopier shoulders,
Sure.
and the Bordeaux bottle has nice straight shoulders.
And there's a reason for the Bordeaux bottle being what it is.
And that would be?
Because it has, usually Bordeaux style wines have a lot of tannins in them, and as you age the wines, these tannins clump together and fall out and have a little bit of sediment. When you pour a bottle with a shoulder in it, that sediment might get caught, or you want it to get caught on the shoulder so it doesn't make its way into the glass. So there's really a practical reason for this.
The other one?
So-
Is there a practical reason for that, or just tradition?
You know, that's a good question, because you see a lot of different wines packaged in a Burgundy bottle. In our case, when we first went to make a Cabernet Franc, I asked one of our distributors, or I told him that we were making a Cab Franc, and he said, well, what size bottle are you going to use? And I said, well, we hadn't decided. He said, well, look, if in France they use the Burgundy bottle for Cabernet Franc, that is what you should use as well. So I took him at his word, because customers tend to recognize the wines often by the bottle shape. And so rather than try to retrain the entire consumer market
We
for
just went
Cabernet
with-
Franc, we went with what is recognizably Cab Franc in the region that is thought to be the origin of Cab Franc, and that's in the Loire Valley of France.
And sometimes you'll see white wines in this shape bottle. They tend to be oaked wines, like Chardonnays.
Often Chardonnays,
Right.
definitely.
Right. Okay, so next up we have these two bottles.
These are dessert wines, in this case
Right.
ice wine, Riesling ice wine.
And a late harvest,
One is from 2013,
13.
and one is from
19,
19,
2019.
that's
Right.
our current release.
Right.
Well, back in the day, we used this taller, skinnier bottle. It's a little bit more elegant. Why don't we
Right.
use it right now?
This is a technical reason because this is tippy. And on the bottling line, they were tending to fall over, creating a real sticky mess in at the winery, so we switched to a shorter, more stable bottle.
And bottling is a big enough problem, and the more you can reduce the risks of anything going wrong, the better off everyone feels about it.
Right.
These dessert wines often come in really unusually shaped bottles. They tend to be kind of special wines. They tend to be more expensive, so often you'll find a dessert wine in a bottle that's really not that typical because it's a kind of a specialty item.
Right. So what we've gone over here are 5 different bottle shapes. They're the most common ones, but you could have your wine in any shaped bottle.
But you also have to think about the cost of the glass.
Right.
You have to think about what the customer recognizes.
Right.
And
Transporting them.
Transporting them, storing them.
Right.
So it may seem like a simple thing, but you have to think about it, or you regret your decision.
Right.
So keep up the good decision making,
Right.
Diana.
I don't regret any of it.
There you go.